Sasylia, finished with her dealings with Riven, turns to Sparhawk. Hello, Phoenix Sorcerer. I've been curious about you. There's an answer that I've been wanting. But the knowledge which you seek from me comes at a toll, a price. You desire a weapon to defeat your foes. A great weapon. And I know of one. And I know where you can find it. This knowledge I will give you. But first, I give you the same caution as I did to Riven. This examination which I will require in exchange. It's not to be taken lightly. It will most definitely result in harm. So talk amongst yourselves. Think it over, will ya? I'll be waiting. After speaking with Riven and Maple, you decide to continue. Wonderful, excellent. The question which has been burning in me, that I want from you specifically, is about your soul. Half phoenix, half man. But it's more profound than that. The question I want to know, are you water and oil, or milk and honey? What I mean by that, I will explain later. I need you clear-headed, calm for what's about to happen. Let's get started. Disrobe down to your undergarments and lay on the jade table. Sasylia grabs a mortar and pestle and sulfur. She places it on the table. Underneath the table, she pulls out a body-length mirror. Pulling it out, it is suspended in air wherever she will place it, and she places it above Sparhawk so that he can see his entire reflection. Sasylia begins to explain to everyone what she's doing. What you're about to see may be disturbing, and most definitely will be sad. But you all need to know it is only the truth of what is, and there's nothing you can do to change it. At least in this life, anyway. First, I need a bit of your soul, Sparhawk. Just a taste. And you know, funny thing about soul, most people think that it's in the heart. Not so. The soul, it like to jump around to many places, but when you sleep, it's in the liver. I'm going to put you to sleep now, Sparhawk. Don't worry. This won't hurt you. Sasylia takes a vial of potion from her cloak and gently places it at the edge of your mouth and pours it in. Your eyelids begin to get heavy, and quickly you fall asleep. Sasylia then begins to massage her wrist and her hand and utter more incantations. Harak kind Enoch. Harak kind Enoch. And her hand begins to elongate, her fingers to an eerily and unsettling length. She opens Sparhawk's mouth and places her hand inside, reaching down, under, and in, continuing to utter her cantations. Harak kind Enoch. Her arm goes elbow deep inside of Sparhawk, and you can see the indents of her finger from somewhere in Sparhawk's abdomen begin to bump up. And then she makes a somewhat lighthearted expression. I think I got it. I better be sure. Out you come. And she slips her hand out of Sparhawk, holding his liver in her hand. Licking her lips, she holds it up. Bites into it, chewing it around, and says, I said milk and honey, but it tastes more like ale and whiskey. This'll do. She takes the pestle, the mortar and pestle, and spits the chewed up liver into it. And then with the rest of his liver in hand, goes back into his mouth, roots around in his abdomen, and then takes her arm back out. Don't worry, it's in place. Now, she takes the mortar and pestle and grinds it into a paste. She takes the paste, places some on his forehead, and then places the rest, smears it on the surface of the mirror. What we're about to see is a place where souls go when they are incomplete. Normally, when a person dies, they go to the fugue plane, and their soul awaits whatever afterlife is waiting for them. But in the case of some, the unfortunate souls, those who are not complete, their soul marred, scarred in a profound way, they cannot go there. Rather, they spend the rest of their time in the plane of abandon. It is a dark and sad place, indiscriminate of whoever is sent there. That is where we will be looking into. I want to see if the other halves of Sparhawk's souls are there. The soul of the Phoenix and the soul of the man named Jaskier. She goes next to Sparhawk's head, leans into his ear, and whispers, "Think of the Phoenix. Think of the Phoenix, Sparhawk. Call out to it. Reach for it." Sparhawk's eyes opens, but there is some kind of absent-mindedness to him. His eyes are open and something is definitely going on inside him, but it's different than him being awake. Sasylia begins to utter the incantations. Hanagigal kumbistinda solgok. Hanagigal kumbistinda soldok. Sual ja abandon. The mirror now has a black swirling vortex inside of it, no longer reflecting Sparhawk. And Sasylia again leans down. Call out to the Phoenix. Reach for its soul. Inside the mirror, you see the smoke begins to form in an image of black and white. And through this image, you see a phoenix soaring endlessly through the sky, high above the mountains, free. Sasylia looks at the image and she says, "Okay, that answers that. Now for the next one. Sparhawk, call out to Jaskier. Reach for him. Find him." And she looks in the mirror. The image now shifts and forms into a different one, again of black and white. This time we see Jaskier riding with haste and hurry frantically on a horse. We can only see about 30 feet in all directions from Jaskier. We don't know what he's riding towards, but we hear him in this vision say, "I've got to get there. I've got to get there in time. I can stop it." We don't know where he's going, but there is frantic in his voice, urgency. When his horse stops, he throws himself off the saddle and rushes into a village. Not the village that we first saw him in, a different one. And quickly we see disturbing signs of smoke, smolder, embers, and broken debris. This village appears to have been raided, pillaged, and set aflame. Jaskier looks around at what he sees and grabs his head. No, I could have warned them. I could have stopped it. We hear these ghostly echoes, these voices in the distance, this yelling. And Jaskier quickly looks around, trying to find the source of these voices. He runs over to a house that is still burning. There is a chair propped up against the door, which is a clear sign that someone has put it there to prevent anyone from leaving this burning house. Jaskier knocks the chair away, flings open the door, and out comes these two children, a boy and a girl. And they grab Jaskier, grab him by the coat, and they say, the bad men, they hurt Mom, me, and Daddy. They're still inside. Jaskier makes sure that the children are safely away from the burning house, and then rushes into the smoke and embers. When Jaskier runs in the house, Maple, Riven, and Sasylia all notice Sparhawk's right hand has set aflame suddenly. Sasylia looks down to it. Interested. What's going to happen? Jaskier searches the burning house. And the longer he searches, he is calling out to these people, hoping for a response. The longer he searches, the fire from Sparhawk's hand begins to spread up his arm, to his elbow, to his wrist, to his shoulder. Jaskier finds a body. The father. He grabs him by the scruff of his coat and he begins to pull him out of the house. He quickly throws the man outside of the house away from harm before quickly going back into the house to look for the mother. The fire on Sparhawk's shoulder spreads across his face and covers his right eye. And Sparhawk's right eye glows like a burning ember. And the expression on his face has changed from a plain blank expression to now one that is still empty, but one of anger and rage. It's a similar look that you have seen when he loses control. Jaskier continues to search the house. He finds the mother buried under some collapsed wood and rubble, pulls her out, and quickly leaves the house, bringing both the mother and the father away somewhere safe. Jaskier looks over their body, and what he finds is marks of sword wounds that leave no chance of survival of the parents. Sparhawk first begins to mouth words. And then slowly he begins to speak them. Burn. Burn them. Burn them. Jaskier, seeing that there's no chance for the parents, goes to the crying children, takes their heads and buries them into his chest, averting their gaze from the sight of their dead parents. You hear Jaskier's voice, but it's not him speaking it. In this vision, it's like you hear your voice when you are speaking to yourself in your head. And Jaskier says, I could have stopped it. I could have gotten there sooner. I have to do it again. I have to do it again. I have to do it again and get there sooner. I have to change it. Sparhawk begins to say, burn them. Burn them as they have burned. The fire on Sparhawk grows more intensely, and the vision in the mirror reverts back to the beginning of Jaskier riding on the horse, saying to himself, I have to hurry. I have to get there. Gods, please let me not be too late. Jaskier gets to the village yet again and says, I'm too late. I could have warned them. Once inside the village again, he hears the voices and goes through the entire thing, a memory again. When he has pulled the parents' bodies out, Sparhawk begins to scream with this rage. Burn them as they have burned. Burn them as they have burned. And you see tears come down Sparhawk's eyes as he repeats, burn them as they have burned. When Jaskier says, I have to do it again, I have to get here sooner, and the vision again restarts, there's something in Sparhawk that snaps. And for a final time, he screams, burn them as they have burned. The fire covering his arm and face burst out towards the mirror, scorching it, and his eye that is glowing like an ember also exudes a flame, and his eye bursts, splatters on the mirror, destroying his eye. Sasylia quickly takes the mirror away and says, that's enough. Smears the salve off of Sparhawk's forehead, and the vision inside the mirror disappears, and it is now a normal mirror. Sasylia grabbing Sparhawk's face as he continues to say, burn them as they have burned, whispers into his ear, go to sleep. Go back to sleep. Hush. And the flame covering him slowly dies down. Sparhawk lays back on the jade table and falls asleep. Sasylia looks over to Maple and Riven and says, I have the answer. We'll wait till he wakes up. Waiting for Sparhawk to wake up, Sasylia places a mug of whiskey nearby and gives it to him when he is conscious. Sitting up, Sparhawk, you don't have your right eye. And in its place, you feel the scorch that burst it open. Sasylia addresses you. I have the answer. I know what kind your soul is. You see, water and oil do not mix. When put in a container, they are held together. Still, two separate things. But as soon as that container, that vessel, breaks, they both spill out, going their separate ways. Milk and honey, on the other hand, or rather in your case, ale and whiskey, they do mix into one new thing. And that was the question which I had about your soul. Which of the two are you? You called out to both the Phoenix and the man, Jaskier, to their soul. If you called out to the Phoenix or Jaskier, and there was no vision in the mirror, that meant that their soul, their sentience, their will is part of you. You see, the thing about souls, it's complicated, though I will try to explain. What is the essence of a soul? What really is that? When put in a body, the body has great influence over it. Its emotion, its memory, even personality. If you damage your head, you can forget things. Those memories are lost to you. If you damage your head, it could affect who you are, your personality, your emotions. The body, with the soul, is a complex matrix. But now you separate the two. What is in essence the soul? It's a profound question, but the thing I know for certain that all souls have is the sentience and will of the person. If when you called out into the mirror for Jaskier or the Phoenix, and nothing came through, that meant that their sentience, one of their sentience own will, is inside you. But that did not happen. You saw both the Phoenix and Jaskier. So, the part of the soul that is inside you, does not have their will. It has not the essence of their soul. Which is interesting. Because what started out as two souls, two sentiences and will, has now been made into three. They still are just half a soul, however. Which is unfortunate and an abomination. But you are not water and oil. If you were, there was going to be a part of your soul, a part, something in you that you would never be able to access, to control willfully. But that's not the case. You are milk and honey. The two parts of the soul have intermixed. You are of one sentience, one will, and there is no other inside you. But what you've been experiencing is the growing pains of wakening to your power. Most of your life, there was a wall. Whatever spell you were under separated you from the half of the phoenix. That half carries the fury and the powers of the phoenix. Separated, blocked off from it. You could not have those powers, and you did not feel that fury, that rage, which you burn with passion, so. But now you have those powers, and you have that fury. Inseparable. It's part of you now. Just as much as the powers are here to stay, so is the fury. But this is good news. It is not some little demon inside you. But it also must be tamed and controlled. That fury, it is a beast. It cannot be neglected, cannot be starved. If it is, it will break out and feast until it is full. Don't let that happen. But this is avoidable with practice. The wall, the wall that separated you from this phoenix part has begun to break down, and in time it will be completely broken. You may have whatever opinion you'd like about Sasylia. Frankly, I don't care. And there's a reason why. On the stone skull with the 3 tongues, there is written Abyssal, Common, and Celestia. No one is entirely good, nor entirely evil. You must find the line. You must find your line, which you walk. And now, with the fury and power of the phoenix, you must find a new line for you to walk, balancing the two. This has good news. And very eye-opening to me. Apologize for the choice of words there. Well, I have the knowledge which I sought, and now I will provide you the knowledge which you seek. The weapon of power. The weapon which I lead you to is a sword. This sword, with just a nick of the skin, can slay any creature lesser than a god. It is called the Sword of Mortis. Anything less than a god, it will slay permanently. It is found in the heart of a temple called Fuchana Mori. And this temple is hidden high above the clouds, amongst the realm of cloud giants. And this temple only reveals itself during the light of a full moon and can be found directly under the moon. Only then can it be reached. Be warned, this sword is the envy of all those who seek power, for evil or righteous alike. It has been the end of many before you, and most likely many to come. Pursue it with grave caution. You have your knowledge. Now, moving on to the last but certainly not least, Maypal. How is your brother doing?